Good morning, everyone, and well, good afternoon, depending on where you're at in the world. Welcome to Demo Day Venture. This is one of my favorite events because it gives you an opportunity and gives me an opportunity to get to know some amazing companies in the impact ecosystem. If this is your first time attending a Demo Day Venture event, welcome. If you've attended before, welcome back. Just to kind of give you an idea of how this works. So we have six amazing companies who will be presenting, and each of them have essentially 10 minutes to present. That breaks down to about 8 minutes of presentation and then 2 minutes of Q&A. We do have time constraints, so we might not have a lot of time for questions. And so if there is a situation where you do want to dig into a feature or a service, you want to learn more about the company, reach out to me. I'll add my email in the chat, and that way you can reach out to me and I'll put you in contact with that company. And so some other housekeeping items, this is being recorded, so you will receive a recording afterwards. So if you have to drop for whatever reason, don't worry, you will still get the content and be able to dig into some of the things that these companies will be talking about today. If you do have questions at all, on the right-hand side of your screen, we have the Q&A tab right below the chat feature. That's where you can put in your questions. And if we have time for those questions, we'll get to as many as we possibly can. So with that out of the way, let's move on to the main event. I'm going to bring Jill and Josh from GoodStack onto the stage and give it to them. Jill, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you. Jill, are you okay to bring up our slides? Fantastic. Okay. Well, hello to everyone. And I was the person that is in the afternoon. I was holding everyone up based here in the UK. So thank you for bearing with us. So lovely to meet you all. Looking forward to spending the next 10 minutes with you. Regardless of your experience with GoodStack, I hope everyone learns something about who we are today and takes something away. So my name's Josh. I'm the VP of Go-to-Market. I'm joined by Jill, who's our Director of Solutions. I'll give you a very concise introduction to who GoodStack are and why we exist. I'll talk about some of the challenges, how we solve for those specific challenges with solutions, the businesses and the personas we work with, and then Jill will take it a little bit deeper, maybe show you some visuals of the product. Next slide, Jill. So we are a technical platform. We're making it possible for the world's biggest companies to give, verify, and report on their impact. In a nutshell, we exist to make it easy for companies to do good. We do that in ways that are both thoughtful and scalable, which Jill can take you through in a few slides. And just to set the scene, we facilitated over $5 billion in donations last year. We're donating into over 240 countries and territories. And we're proud to have facilitated giving into over 1 million unique nonprofits, which is super cool. We have a team of over 200 people based in every continent. We recently acquired a team of 20 people down in Australia and Sydney. And many of those join us from companies that think progressively about impact. And that expertise, I suppose, shows up in who we work with. So we now power impact programs for over 100 enterprise partners. Sorry, Jill, one more slide. Just go back. One thing to call out, I suppose, at the very beginning, we're going to focus the next maybe 6-7 minutes on the nonprofit experience. On the corporate and nonprofit experience. We do support nonprofits, social enterprises, and the education sector, but we truly put the nonprofit at the heart of everything we do. We bridge the gap between corporate philanthropy and nonprofits. We have a causes portal where we have hundreds of thousands of nonprofits. We have 25,000 net new nonprofits joining that causes portal every month, where they can access tools, technology, apply for grants for free, and the ability to even service their own fundraising and volunteering events directly into our partners' platforms, which is really cool. So what's the ecosystem which we live in? So every organization in this room is probably navigating something on the left-hand side of this slide, whether it is the compliance exposure, the under-resourced teams, the technology that might be holding the programs back rather than enabling it, or even the difficulty of running something that feels genuinely local when you're operating globally. We built GoodStack to close every single one of those gaps. So on the global compliance, we've got it handled. We verify nonprofits in minutes across 240 countries and territories. We've got AI that removes the admin burden, so your team can focus on the program itself and not the process, get out of the administrative weeds and focus on the creative strategic moments. We've got a modern platform that doesn't cap your ambition, I suppose, and we allow local experiences that actually resonate. There are many cultural differences in each of those local geographies, and you might want to be able to run that program centrally. and as a reporting layer, including a newly released API reporting solution, meaning that if someone within the leadership team wants to know what the program is delivering, the answer is at your fingertips at any given time, making your impact evidence, I suppose, compelling. We work with organizations that have scale and of real stakes. So, multinationals. We do work with large domestic organizations, but typically it's those with footprint in multiple jurisdictions, regulated industries, public companies, those that are accountable to ESG and compliance, and specifically those with purpose-driven brands, where you cut them open and you can see their real DNA sitting at the center of absolutely everything they do. And increasingly, Jill will mention this as one of our solutions, platform businesses that are embedding giving directly into their customer experience, so not just focusing intrinsically, but thinking about how you take that out to the masses externally. And we sit at the table with people who carry the weight of these decisions. So compliance teams who need to know that money is going where it should, legal, audit, as well as obviously the typical impact leads from HR, ESG leads, etc. So it's not really a platform for everyone, but it's built for organizations that are generally looking to push the boundaries of impact and pull together disparate and traditionally siloed impact functions and ultimately challenge the status quo.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Josh. Just running us through some of the product components here. What we're looking at is our full tech stack in a quick diagram. So we've got product donations, employee impact, so through giving, volunteering, customer giving, so embedding that into the customer experience, whether donations at checkout or the like, and then also grants management solutions. These all sit on top of the Goodstack infrastructure and all available through our reporting backend. All of that risk mitigation verification is available for each of those product suites. So if you want tier level 4 verification, where we're checking the trustees of a specific organization to qualify them for donations into your employee giving, we can go to that level of verification if required and provide you full visibility. We are tight on time, so I'm going to spin through some of these. We've got some quick views here of product donations. So this is where nonprofits can request discounts from our partners like Canva, Microsoft, Google, Zoom, and the like. We also have the employee impact. So this is the programs we're accustomed to, like volunteering, giving, those sorts of things. All of this is embedded in the same back end on a partner dashboard, so you get a full view of your impact. We also have customer giving. This has come to life most prominently in Adyen at checkout. So if you're doing merchant checkouts, or in TikTok. So if you make donations in TikTok, that is verified and powered by Goodstack. And then lastly, our grants management platform. So being able to process the end-to-end grant application and leveraging AI inclusive in all of these products. All of this comes to life in our reporting platform. And so this is embedded into the partner dash. So while we are using a system to create these reports, we do surface it right in the same platform, so there isn't multiple logins for the administrator. All right. Thank you all so much. Looking forward to a couple of questions, but I know we're tight on time, so I'll pass it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Jill and Josh. A quick question from me. What is the number one reason why corporate practitioners tend to work with Goodstack? What problem are they looking to solve?
I would say that probably the number one problem we're seeing and support we're providing is innovating their programs. So we're not the partner that is going to come to the table and you ask us to do XYZ feature and we say, absolutely, let that add to the roadmap. We're going to ask us what you're trying to accomplish and look to do it in an innovative way. So not looking to replicate the exact same flow for match requests, but rather being inquisitive of why match requests exist in the first place. And it's not to say we're going to push on you what our thought process is, but it's about having a conversation, partnering with our client, and building for the next era of the impact space.
All right. We have maybe time for one more quick question. And by quick, I mean like 30 seconds in terms of an answer. If there's any question from the audience. All right. All right, go ahead and end there. Jill, Josh, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, next we're going to bring on David from Give to Get. You go ahead and pull it up your presentation, David. All right, David, over to you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being on, and thanks, Jeremy, for all that you do at Social Impact World and organizing opportunities for this. Some of you all may know us; others may be a little less familiar. Uh, I'll give the quick backstory. We've been around for about 30 years, and it started with a bunch of ski bums in Telluride, Colorado, answering an RFP to clean up a small town. And we put on a concert where the only way to get a ticket to the show was to volunteer 4 hours of your time. And that was years and years ago. You can tell by my not rather white hair and lack thereof. But we we developed that, and then it moved around to a couple of other small towns that were also interested in having that sort of impact and getting their people in the community involved. And that morphed into things like the Boost Mobile Rock Core Tour, where all of a sudden we're doing this in Chicago, where there's 10,000 young people, and they really just want to see Jay-Z and Rihanna or Lady Gaga, but we're going to put them to work for 4 hours. So some of our corporate clients started coming to us and saying, you know what, I've never seen a volunteer event run so well. Can you do that at our national sales meeting, or can you help us with our overall employee engagement program? So everything that we do is very like highly customized around the corporate needs, and we don't have to put a concert on at the end of the day, which is helpful. Unless somebody really wants to, then we can manage that as well. Um, but our experience in the space is focused primarily on the nonprofit community and the corporate pillars or corporate goals that they want to support. And we kind of work in the gray space to make sure that everything happens. So we're much more of an execution provider and providing solutions where people are able to volunteer in their own communities. And we've been able to scale this for groups up to 25,000 people at like Cisco Live, all the way down to we've got 15 people in an office in Draper, Utah. And what can we do for that? So I'll go into a little bit of the solutions here that we provide. So we do a lot of people's in-person volunteering programs, and it's sort of broken down into staffed and unstaffed programs. A lot of times getting people together at company-wide meetings and events make for a really good opportunity for people to run programs where they've already got a captured audience, and you're able to increase your volunteer numbers. And we focus on helping provide bandwidth to both the meeting and event community, but mainly to CSR departments and social impact teams, and allow them to make these programs really tied into their pillars and what they want to support. And yet also provide these experiences for people on site where they feel that their time is really exceptionally well valued, and that what they're doing is going to make an immediate impact within the community. We can also do these programs in a curated standpoint where we're not there staffing it, but we can set up programs at nonprofits for people and basically hand it off to them, and giving them an opportunity to add bandwidth to their team when they have to find 25 programs for all these small offices throughout the country. We can come in and help find and vet organizations that can take their number of people on site, and then provide a valuable handoff experience so that they can manage their own programs. These are a number of case studies along those lines, and it's more or less just about the size and scale of people that we've worked with, running Apple's Global Volunteer Month programs in 23 different markets across the globe in 9 different countries. Cisco Live's a huge program, Box, but that's for like a 4-day event where we're running a social impact zone at a huge conference. All the way from Box to Moody's, where they are custom designed around their specific needs and the number of employees they have and the cities and the events that they do. And we manage a lot of the back end logistics to make that easy and turnkey for CSR departments. The pandemic forced us to provide a whole new way of doing what we do. And we started boxing up programs and shipping them to individual remote locations. And we built a whole business line on at-home events for remote employees. And then bridging the gap between that, we came up with unstaffed opportunities for groups that are at office, and a new product that we just launched, which is basically designed around some of our most popular programs that are requested most by the nonprofits that we work with. And they are fully sort of like turnkey programs for people to purchase and manage. And it includes all the shipping, all the project supplies and materials, but we go through all the training with local champions so that they can run their own program. We have a number of skills-based virtual opportunities as well. And those were just case studies showing what that is. And I can send this to anybody who needs it. But this is new in 2026 is our Purpose Packs programs. And it's ideal for groups around 15 to 75 volunteers. So this was a bit of a blind spot for us as a company because it was expensive to bring in, to fly in a staff member or somebody to set everything up. So this allows people to do this kind of on their own, and there's handbook and training that goes involved with it, but all the same things. We're working with the nonprofits to figure out what their needs are, and then we're packing those items up and creating a program for folks. We have a number of programs recently that we've been doing with plant site facilities, where we're doing some of the same thing. It's a lightly staffed program, but we're able to work with people who are more like hourly employees. And this has been a way for companies to increase the number of participants in their volunteer programs and also get people who haven't typically volunteered with their company in the past an opportunity to do this in a kind of a drop-in capacity. You see that we did that for other folks, but some things that a lot of people don't know about us is we can do all of this a la carte for people, just like each time they need it, that's fine. We do manage some funds through our Core Giving Foundation for people who want to bank funds with us and then kind of work it down based on what their budget is. And we provide impact reporting for everything that we do, and also can help with champion development and sourcing of nonprofits for like those curated events that I discussed before. A couple examples of those and some of the folks that we do this for. And that's it. And there's more. Like everything's custom designed around the needs of each individual corporate client, and then also focusing on the back end with the nonprofits. And I say to everybody, we kind of work in the gray space in between just to make those connections a lot tighter.
Thank you, David. Quick question. You mentioned the impact zones at events. What did those typically look like?
Sometimes they're with companies where they've got a booth at an event, right? And they want to run a small social impact program to help draw people into their booth, where they may be competing with, a number of other different competitors in the space, and they want to have a way to bring people up. So we can come in and help set up a real quick program for people, and then they can feel good about giving back to the community. To then, like at Cisco Live, where it's a 4-day event with thousands of people attending, we'll come in and we'll design a full social impact zone with rotating projects for it. And then we base it a little bit on community needs, but also what Cisco is supporting in the community. A lot of their work has been done around like the environment in the last few years. So we've created opportunities that have supported, teaching gardens at schools 1 year. And then there's a continuity program where they're doing like hydroponic herb gardens. So their kids are growing this stuff in the classroom before they're planting it outside. And then we built like farmer market stands for them the following year. So we try and get deep into like what is the long-term impact that they're trying to make and provide solutions that can do that.
And for a practitioner that might want to work with Give to Get, in terms of the lead time going from, first like touch point or engagement with Give to Get to an actual, volunteering event, what does that typically look like? Is there an ideal lead time?
Yeah, I would say like for staffed events, ideally we're in like the 8-week window if we're designing something kind of bespoke for a certain area. But a couple of those purpose packs that we have can be done within a week or 2 weeks. Like we've got them pre-built, ready to go, and all we need is the shipping information and we can get them out the door. So that was something that a number of our clients kept asking us for, and it was a huge scramble for us to get something done really quickly. So now we've got certain ones that are available almost on demand.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much, David. All right, we're going to go ahead and bring up our next presenter, Sonia from Catch a Fire. Sonia, let me go ahead and get you ready and set up. All right, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeremy. Thanks everyone for being here. Good morning, good afternoon, if you're on the East Coast like me. My name is Sonia Aviv, and I'm here on behalf of Catch a Fire to show you what skills-based volunteering looks like when it's actually built around the people doing it. So the nonprofits, the employees, and the CSR practitioners who are running the show. Not all skills-based volunteering is created equal. So I'm going to show you a slice today of how we've really perfected that approach. A little bit about how Catch a Fire came to be, and this is one of my favorite stories to tell. So we were founded over a decade ago, and our founder was working at an investment bank when her company organized a volunteering day building houses for a nonprofit. She's incredible. She's also 5'2", which I am as well, though you can't see me at my desk here. And she showed up enthusiastic and ready to go, but she was not particularly useful at building houses. And she left that day feeling like she'd probably done a little bit more harm than good. And what she realized wasn't, I'm bad at volunteering. I don't want to do this again. It was a question, which is why are we asking people to give things they're not skilled at when everyone in that group, especially me, had something really genuinely valuable to offer, whether that be skills with financial modeling, marketing strategy, operations, expertise, things that the nonprofit actually needed in addition to some of that building work. So that question became Catch a Fire. And today we've served over 15,000 nonprofits, logged over 1.6 million in volunteer hours, fulfilled 93,000 pro bono projects, and generated over 320 million pro bono value, all by connecting the right skills to the right needs. So why it matters and what the landscape looks like. And again, I think this is familiar to everyone here. Employees generally want to give back. The motivation is already there, but especially for skills-based, the infrastructure often isn't. It's hard to scale beyond a handful of highly motivated individuals, and the ask on CSR teams keeps growing. You're expected to run more programs, engage more employees, and demonstrate more impact without additional resources to make it happen. And then on top of that, it's participation alone isn't enough anymore. Companies want to know, what did the employees actually do? How were they engaged beyond the activity itself? And was this worth the company's time and investment? So that's exactly the gap that we're built to close. What we do differently. So really, like on a basic level, on any given day, there are hundreds of fully scoped skills-based volunteer projects that are waiting for your employees to slot into. So if you're a CSR practitioner and you have employees coming to you every day looking for projects to work on, you can send them to Catch a Fire and connect them on these impactful projects. So what it comes down to is that we have really perfected the infrastructure to create strong skills-based opportunities. We have the nonprofits and we know nonprofits and are able to set them up for success. We handle all the scoping, and our platform gives employees the flexibility to give back how they want, whether that be by skill or by cause area, and when they want. So whether that's, an hour or a couple of weeks, and they're able to do it virtually on their own time. Cool. So I'm going to show you a little bit of the actual employee experience and what it looks like on the platform. So I'm going to go into demoing really quickly right now. Awesome. So when an employee registers on Catchafire, they fill out their skills and areas of interest. And from there, they get a personalized feed of projects recommended specifically for them. So here, this is my real profile. I applied to an elevator pitch coaching project, and it's connecting me to other ones that I could participate in the future. If I click on one of these, which hopefully you can see now, great, you're able to see that that project is fully scoped. So it's outlined both by our team and the nonprofit, what the organization needs, the time commitment that's needed, the impact that this will have for the organization, and a full project plan with milestones along the way. And then if we go back to the searching piece, if I click see all opportunities, my causes and skill areas are already filled in, and I'm able to slot into these different projects and preview them as we go along. One more thing that I'm really excited to show you while I have my screen shared is that we recently released a new feature from feedback from our corporate partners where employees can raise their hand first. And rather than browsing through projects and applying, while this is easy, what we were hearing from some of our corporate partners is that some of their employees wanted to proactively share their skills with nonprofits directly. So that's why we created this new feature that gives employees more agency and gives nonprofit access to talent they may never have found before. So where employers are able to say, here's what I can do to help you, and here's more about me. And then the nonprofits can actually work with them directly as well. All right, Jeremy, I think I need the deck back up. Wonderful. We went through that. And just to close us out here, and again, this is just a snippet of everything that we do, but our platform is at the core of what we do, but most of our corporate programs also include a blend of skills-based volunteering events that are incorporated as well. So this is where we bring Catchafire to your office or your virtual office for a few hours during the workday. These aren't generic volunteer days, and we offer several signature event formats, as you can see here. So the micro volunteering, the team workshops, and the cause days. Plus, we work with you to design your own. Our event team handles everything. So whether this be nonprofit recruitment or bringing your own nonprofits in, the matching, the scoping, the facilitation, and the follow-up, your team just has to show up. But what I think, really makes these events powerful is what happens after. So the event doesn't just end, right? It feeds back to the platform. So say a nonprofit walks away from an event with a draft of a marketing strategy from a consulting session it had with your employees. They can actually go back to the platform and post, a marketing plan. And then the employees can return to the platform and engage with the nonprofit there. So we're really closing the loop on the actual work that gets done after the event as well. And a quick slide here on impact. Again, this is something that we could talk about forever, but measurement, of course, is at the core of everything we do. We know how important that is. And we think about measurement both quantitatively and qualitatively. Every engagement tells a story. That story is measured in dollar value, in hours. So there's a lot to say on that. I know we don't have so much time together today, but it's really at the core of what we do. So thank you all so much. It was so wonderful to share Catchafire with you. Again, this is just a snippet. So there are 3 different ways you can partner with Catchafire. Again, some of our companies work in all of these ways. Some choose one or the other. So just so excited to share this with you. And Thanks so much, Jeremy, and everyone else for joining.
Thank you, Sonia. Go ahead and remove that. Okay, so when it comes, I have a question. When it comes to your volunteering events, whether it's traditional or skills based,
Mhm.
what makes the volunteering events with Catch a Fire different?
Yes. So one thing I'll say is that they're all skills based. So skills based is at the core of our platform, of our events and whatnot. We do have, some traditional volunteering sprinkled in as well, but on the event side, it's primarily skills based. I would say there's two things that kind of really differentiate us there. So the first piece is I think when people hear skills, they're like, okay, this has to be a huge time commitment. But we're built to meet employees where they're at because we've done this for so long. So for example, like as I was sharing with the micro volunteering events, we have engagements that are 90 minutes long, but still produce a lot of impact and are very thoughtful. So what my point here is that like skills based doesn't mean it needs to take weeks. It's something we can also do quickly on an event style. And then I think the second piece is what I was sharing before, what I really want to hammer down on, is that closing the loop piece. Like I think a lot of events, and again, I don't want to knock any type of event. I think they're all impactful in any way. But sometimes they end once the event is over. And we're able to keep that impact going. So if an organization, as I was sharing before, gets advice that they need, potentially a new website at the end of the day, they can actually come back to Catch a Fire and get that support either from the employees that they were working with or other volunteers who can help take that project forward. So I think that's really like where we stand out is the ability to actually close the loop on the event and bring the impact forward after the event is over.
Perfect. All right, Sonia, thank you so much. All right, we're going to go ahead and bring up our next presenter, Nikki from Cause Consulting.
Great.
Nikki, I'm going to go ahead and launch your presentation.
Thank you.
Over to
Thanks,
you.
Jeremy. Great to see everyone. A pleasure to be here. I'm Nikki Korn, principal of Cause Consulting. I've been in the field 30 years, or sometimes joke before it was a formal field. Genuinely believe our work is more important than ever, and I've had the pleasure of working across all the sectors. And a little more than 20 years ago, launched our firm with my partner, Mark Feldman. And our passion and mantra is all about how do you both strengthen business and impact society. So our shop focuses on social impact strategy and communications, so essential. Architecting and activating really, really sharp strategies and programs, which we'll talk about, that differentiate brands, really deliver that social impact, and also really inspire people to action. Who do we work with? Leaders inside social impact and ESG teams, corporate foundations and communications teams, and folks really looking for proven approaches, seasoned perspectives. All of our team members are highly seasoned and been in the field a while, and really fresh thinking. And folks that really love to collaborate and are excited to kind of roll up their sleeves with outsiders in the work. And together, that's what we do. We're problem solvers. We're passionate about it. And I've stayed in consulting my career because our team members really take on anything and know what we know and know what we need to go figure out. And some of the challenges that really are front and center, and these won't surprise you, that are most prevalent is, how do I align my social impact more with my business? Well, it should be from the beginning. So that's one that's front and center in our work. How do we navigate during challenging times and really create unique signature programs that really drive impact? And we're going to talk about this quickly. And then measure. And that is not a word we take lightly, but measure the outcomes, not just the numbers, the outcomes and efforts, so we can really tell powerful stories of impact. So in three simplistic ways, the things that we do best, we call it our special sauce, our signature programs. And I'll show you an example. Measurement and impact storytelling. And we see those two things inherently happening together, or you don't have one or the other. And then really focusing also on ESG strategy and reporting. And so one of the pieces, just to dig into a bit, are these signature programs. I'm going to bring you behind the curtain. But it starts with finding an issue niche, not a massive space, but a niche inside an issue space. And here are a few examples of programs we've built with GoDaddy around inclusive entrepreneurship. We're currently doing a ton of work in health equity with Alnylam around Challengers, which is really about patient health navigation, working with immigrants and refugees in the Boston area and really looking at the role of that health navigator and finding a niche and then committing to the issue long term. And as we all know, most importantly with these programs, making sure it aligns with the business and then really sinking your teeth into it across many, many aspects. And for us, this is the secret behind the curtain and in the approach that we bring to the table with our clients. And it takes a lot of intentionality, and we call it Invest, Engage, Lead. And for us, it's about rallying behind an issue over time with a portfolio of partners that candidly might stay the same or evolve. Looking at how you bring the expertise, and it's been great to hear about skills-based front and center from my colleagues here. The importance of skills-based application in these initiatives from our stakeholders, our employees, could be customers, consumers, and then having that all build together through an initiative that's branded and outcome-driven that provides a voice and perspective to advance the issue and provide thought leadership. All of these things don't need to be full tilt, but they all, we believe, are critical ingredients to what we call a signature program. So let me bring you into an example, one you all may have seen in the marketplace back in 2007. And it's exciting to say that this one continues to reinforce how this model is built to last. But Samuel Adams was at a place where the brand was quite rational and needed more emotionality, more human dimension, and a way to really get connected to community more. And we built Samuel Adams Brewing the American Dream together with their team and really took the essence of the power of Jim Koch's vision and entrepreneurship and passion around craft and rally behind local food and beverage entrepreneurs across the country, providing access to capital, networks and relationships and coaching to fuel their businesses. And the Invest, Engage, Lead model really comes to life through the idea that we created, which is a loan fund that helps provide critical resources and priority funding for small businesses to either launch or sustain their idea. And then rallying the skills and expertise and passion of their people through what we call speed coaching. So these are events that are happening consistently where across the table, employees sit one-on-one over a beer or a water and talk about what they do best, help them, whether it's with their marketing, their packaging, could be legal, really build relationships over a pint of beer. And most importantly, really create connections and relationships and social capital. And then all of this work has really, over the years, built this incredible credibility and voice around their interest and ability, we believe, to earn accolades to advocate for small businesses and really bring their voice to the table, not just Jim, but his employees, his leaders, and his customers as well, as they really get passionate about the role of Sam Adams in the small business movement. So signature programs, strategies, all of this work for us is really critical in what we believe our field needs to be, which is courageous together. And in addition to our overall mantra of business must be front and center to strengthen while you impact society, want to thank everyone for listening and bringing their courage to the table. But this is what we do every day.
Thank you, Nikki. Quick question from me. When it comes to the clients that you tend to work with, and even if they're not clients, maybe they just come to you to have a conversation.
Sure.
What tends to be the area or areas where they tend to get stuck?
Yeah, great question. They are often stuck in tactics. So what are the activities we can do? What's the grant we can write? What's the thing or the event or the volunteer experience versus stepping back and really thinking about a thoughtful strategy and really engaging stakeholders both inside and outside and not staying inside their capsules and vessels, but really getting stuck in there, but moving outside of that. And then I think most importantly also is to not spread the resources across too many issues areas. We see this all too often. I have debates since I've started this work, but I'm a big fan of 70-30, where 70% of your work needs to be in a focused issue space, and the other, you need flexibility, but to not peanut butter the funding and the resources.
And what does a typical engagement with Cause Consulting look like in terms of going from first conversation to an output?
Well, I think part of what makes us successful and why we created our shop the way we do is there isn't necessarily a typical. We meet clients where they are within these areas of that I just shared related to strategy and comms. Proud to say most of our clients work with us between 5 and 10 years, and we become extensions of their teams. So I think it depends if there's an urgent problem to solve where it could be a shorter horizon of a 3 to 6 month engagement, but we tend to build long-term relationships and ebb and flow with the needs of the team.
Perfect. Thank you, Nikki.
Great to see you.
You too. All right, we're going to go ahead and bring Calvin to the stage. And Calvin, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm Calvin Burton. I'm the Director of Development and Partnerships at UStrive. I'm grateful to just have the opportunity to be here with you all today. First, I'll just tell you a little bit about me, and then I'll go straight into telling you all about UStrive and how I think we can help your company get there faster with our virtual social solution. So, I spend most of my time working with companies to help them engage their employees through virtual mentoring, really connecting their employees directly with students and early career seekers in ways that actually scale and lead to meaningful outcomes. So yes, here at UStrive, we provide a virtual mentoring platform and related support services like user support. We have one-time events, reporting, et cetera, things like that, that really help companies activate employees to deliver scalable, measurable impact, all while supporting students on their journey toward college and career success, and all while advancing company goals such as workforce development, community impact, or helping them with their CRA, like Community Reinvestment Act requirements. And what we've seen is that companies are doing a lot right now. Employees want to give back. And yes, organizations are creating those opportunities for them to do so. But there is still a gap between engagement and outcomes. As you all know, most interactions are one time, like an event, a session, a moment. And because of that, relationships don't have the chance to fully form, and impact becomes difficult to sustain or measure over time. And really, the challenge isn't getting employees to engage, as I'm sure you all know. It's really turning that engagement into something that actually lasts and leads to real outcomes. So even with strong participation, it sometimes can be hard for companies to translate that engagement into meaningful long-term impact. And that's where I think the UStrive model really tends to resonate most with folks. We typically work with organizations that are looking to activate employees at scale, particularly those who are focused on corporate responsibility or employee engagement or early talent development. And what we've seen among our strongest partners is that they don't treat this as like a one-time initiative. They really try to integrate UStrive into how their people engage over time in the long term. And they use it to give employees like a flexible, ongoing way to contribute, often helping them to inform their own corporate giving strategies, while also building meaningful connections with students and early talent. And that's when the model really starts to compound. When engagement becomes continuous and not just occasional, it really, that's how a system like this is so important, and why, in my opinion, it's really the only way it works when you have a system like this in place to support something like that. Otherwise, it just falls back into like one-time engagement. And that system is something that UStrive provides, right? We're an always-on platform that companies can deploy to activate employees in a much more flexible and scalable way. Really, at its core, companies are purchasing access to the platform itself, but they also are getting, tools and training and the support services I mentioned earlier needed to make engagement successful. And companies are also purchasing a system where employees can participate in different ways depending on their availability, whether that's like a single interaction or conversation or an ongoing mentoring relationship. And on the back end, companies are also purchasing the ability to track engagement and outcomes over time without needing to build or manage the system themselves. And so to give a quick example, one of our founding partners, Deloitte, their mentoring initiative with us became one of its largest and most successful employee engagement programs when we first launched in 2016. And what's important here isn't just scale. It's really about employee participation. It was sustained at Deloitte over time. It still is and has expanded across multiple teams and multiple locations. And we've seen similar patterns with other partners where, consistent relationship-based engagement leads to both stronger employee experiences and real outcomes for our students. And I think that's the real difference between participation and impact. And one thing I'll add is, because it does usually come up, the UStrive is intentionally designed to be very easy to implement. So yes, we handle the setup, we provide communication templates, and support your employees throughout the experience. So, you never feel alone because you're never alone in it. And most of our partners start small and then they scale as engagement builds. And from the employee side, participation is always flexible, meaning they can pick it up and put down this program at their leisure and volunteer as their schedule permits. But in general, most volunteer mentors spend about 1 to 2 hours a month. And again, they are in total control of their availability. So this doesn't require a heavy lift internally, which is a big part of why it actually sustains over time. So what that ultimately creates is a model that's not only scalable, but it's actually sustainable over time. And when you have something that's both easy to implement and able to sustain engagement, it naturally starts to show up in a few key areas within an organization. And when that starts to happen, it tends to show up in these key areas. So where we typically fit is, within employee engagement, a CSR department and their initiatives, or early talent strategy. So if you're looking for a way to scale impact while giving your employees a meaningful and flexible way to engage, this is where UStrive tends to add a lot of value. So if this feels relevant to you, I'd love to talk to you. At a high level, what this really comes down to is shifting from one-time engagement to something that's ongoing, scalable, and measurable. And if you're interested in learning more, there are 3 things you can do now to get started. First, if you want to explore what this could look like inside your organization, I'm happy to connect, of course. I think a quick 30-minute conversation is usually all it takes to see if there's a fit. Second, if you'd rather experience it directly, you can sign up on the platform and become a mentor yourself. That's often the fastest way to understand how it works in practice. And thanks to the power of partnership, mentors who aren't with a corporate partner can sign up for free, but I can tell you about that later. And third, if you're not the right person, but this feels relevant, feel free to share this with someone on your team, who owns employee engagement or early talent strategy or in the CSR department. I will be around, of course, on LinkedIn. You can email me directly. Of course, you can connect with Jeremy, who can put you in contact with me, but I'd love to continue the conversation. So the engagement is easy, and what's hard is turning it into impact. But that's what we've built. So come see us. And thank you all.
Calvin, thank you so much. Question from me. Obviously, every company is different in terms of their needs, but when it comes to a practitioner looking at UStrive and asking themselves, can UStrive really scale across my organization and meet my needs? What would your response be?
Yeah, I would say absolutely, because it only takes us like a couple of days to set things up on the back end. And really, after that, we work with you to go at your pace, right? And so you could pilot it to just one department and take that as a learning lesson and then roll it out company wide. I mean, really, it's just people are just clicking a link and then they're going into our environment. So when people ask, can we really scale? Yes, we can. Yes, we have. And it's because of the ease of our program that allows us to scale in a way that doesn't require like a bunch of program development internally for people to understand who we are and how to navigate our system. We do all of that. Our system is really easy to navigate, so it cuts down that need to develop any sort of like intense communications to get it through or get people excited or just get people to understand the rules of engagement. Everything they need is really behind the click of a button.
And what about the experience for volunteer mentors? What does that typically look like?
Yeah, typically, mentors will spend about 1 to 2 hours a month of like mentoring or volunteering, but it really just depends on what they're looking to get out of the program and or what their mentee is looking to get out of the program. So it depends on who they're matched with, but mentors usually help students with things like reviewing resumes or helping with college applications or even just getting a list of colleges to apply to. Often they'll help students figure out the do's and don'ts of college life and budgeting. So it's little small things like that, but they all add up over time.
Perfect. Thank you, Calvin. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and bring Janelle and Kristen from visit.org. And let's go ahead and launch your presentation. All right, over to you two.
Thank you, Jeremy, and hello, everybody. Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you're calling in from. We are visit.org, one of the best kept secrets in social impact. My name is Janelle St. Omer, and I'm joined by my colleague, Kristen Estrada. Combined, we have about 30 years experience in the space, and we're super excited to be here today. So thank you, Jeremy, for having us, and thank you all for joining. So Visit.org is a partner that basically facilitates volunteer events and social impact experiences for corporations around the world. We are a certified B Corp. We've been in this space for over 10 years, and we really aim to connect your employees to the causes that they care about through volunteering and social impact experiences, really looking at scale. So we operate around the world. We facilitate volunteer opportunities and social impact experiences in over 100 countries. We have a library that has over 2,500 experiences with nonprofits in our network, over 3,000 in our network as well. And we do all of this in over 40 languages. One of the things that we know is that it's really important to meet employees where they're at and help them to grow and to scale and to really think about the ways that they want to be engaged. And we know that scaling programs across companies is not an easy thing to do. And also thinking about ways that you can embed impact within your organization is also not an easy thing to do. So that's really where Visit fits in and where we partner with organizations who are looking to embed social impact across the employee lifecycle and plus across the employee experience. So if you think of every moment, every employee type, whether it is embedding social impact into your employee onboarding or as part of your employee team building, in addition to things like months of service or weeks of service, days of service, we really also help to facilitate embedding impact into corporate conferences and, sales team meetings, sales kickoffs, or even supporting your learning and development teams through experiential learning, within our network and with the partnerships that we have across the board. So these are the different event types that we have, and quite intentionally to align with all the different departments that we typically will work with, and allowing you and your programs to scale across the organization and around the world. We have these varying different ways of events that we can actually facilitate for you. So we can do in-person volunteering, so bringing your teams together, in office wherever they might be. Similar to other presenters today, we pivoted and we now have virtual volunteering experiences as well. So for those employees who are operating more so in a remote workforce, or for those of your employees who are completely disconnected, we can certainly provide opportunities for those folks as well. And those can be, highly curated and specialized in terms of really thinking about your pillars, where your organization is going, the types of experiences that you want to have for all of your folks. Or we can do it, right out of the box, where it's simply easy, turnkey, easy to facilitate, and we can ship and deploy some of those opportunities opportunities to your folks, within 2 to 3 weeks, and really everything in between. So you might have an environment where your employees, some of them are at home, some of them are in the office, but you want to be able to offer an experience that is consistent across the board wherever your employees are, and we can provide and facilitate that as well. So the crux for us is really to meet you as a corporation where you're at in terms of how you want your program to be facilitated, to help to take the global very local, or the national local, and really infuse sort of that local engagement with local nonprofits who really need the support of your volunteers at this time, and then bringing and involving all of your employees in the engagement opportunities that we have as well. So when we think about how Visit is different, how we operate across the board, one of the core things for us is that we are very nonprofit centric. So our founder and CEO started this organization after volunteering. She's an engineer by trade, and after volunteering with an organization where she really saw the need and also the opportunity, because nonprofits really have a lot to give. They're not just, needing to be on the receiving end of support. So really, we partner and we could co-facilitate and co-create these opportunities with the nonprofit partners that we work with. So that ensures for us authenticity, quality of experience, and also measurable impact, because we know that any experience that your employees are participating in and any of the outputs from those experiences really will have a measurable impact on those nonprofits. As an example, for some of our, Project in a Box opportunities and kits that we create, we actually revalidate before we distribute any of the outputs to see that the nonprofit still needs any of the things that we've created at that point in time. So that's core to our model and who we are and what we do. We also have that global reach, as I mentioned. So, in over 100 countries with certified event hosts and support staff worldwide. So in terms of delivering on experience, we can ensure that as your employees come out to participate and volunteer, either in person or virtual, they're going to have an experience where we can surprise and delight them and really hopefully grow their impact over time. Ease and efficiency is huge for us. We know that the biggest reason why companies come to work with Visit is because they're trying to grow and scale their programming and offer an experience across the board where they can, give that sort of localized, localized experience and respond to those localized nuances and needs. But at the same time, they want ease, they want efficiency. So we really become an extension of their team. We become a partner to have a model that enables seamless event booking, tracking, and engagement for everybody that's involved. And high retention. So really just thinking about, ambassadors and your employees as volunteers. We know that it's typically a lot of turnover that happens, but we want to deliver experiences that can help our companies that we work with, deliver on that high retention as well. So, for us, it is about simple and scalable for corporations that we work with to help to design those opportunities and experiences that people want to come back to and that your nonprofit partners really benefit from as well. And then lastly, we do have a platform that really helps to do all the work and support you and your employees in terms of the experience. So I'm actually going to turn it over to my colleague, Kristen, who's going to give us a little bit of a sneak peek.
Thanks, Janelle. And thank you for being here. I'm glad you're here, everyone. We are going to do a quick demo. It wouldn't be demo day without just a short mini demo. So what you're seeing here is the world's largest library of pre-curated events. We work backwards from our customer being you, our corporate clients, the volunteers, as well as our nonprofits. So all of the nonprofit partners that we work with have curated and co-designed experiences together with us, and then we launch them on our platform for our corporate clients to book. So there's a few ways to get to finding that right event from our homepage. You're going to see some curated collections to see what's top of mind for you, and you can also search and sort by key pillars or social impact areas. And you can also ask Iris, our AI agent, if you have a particular need. You can simply start the search there. I've pulled up some experiences for you to look at today to show you the variety of our hands-on, ready-to-implement projects that can be shipped out within a week's time to your participants, to some of our more skills-based events that are really working directly with community members. So at a quick glance, our project in a box really takes that intentionality down to the country or hyper local level, and working directly with nonprofits to ensure, for example, in this seasonings or spice packets, that they're culturally relevant to the location, the language, the community that we're supporting. As you can see, we offer these in 29 different countries, so we have to be very intentional about how we support all of our nonprofit partners. With our more signature events, as we call them, these are, again, sometimes working with community members. So whether it's virtual or in person, you always see the length of time, the number of participants, and the dates. You can go ahead and start booking based on your preference. And we already know the nonprofits' availability because they're connected in the back end to visit.org, and we know when they are available to host this. You'll get some core details about the event. This one is working directly with nonprofit community members. This one happens to be in Costa Rica. And so you'll get kind of a key overview of this session. Some of our other events are designed for scale and large events like a sales meeting. So this happens to be a nonprofit, Project Cure, that we worked with very intentionally this year with Stryker. We did some global sales team meetings where we had thousands of volunteers. So it allows us to really get intimate and help support the nonprofit. We even procure some of the kits for them in certain countries where they don't have activity in. So we really are adding ourselves as an extra pair of arms and legs and hands for the nonprofit across the globe to enable volunteering. A couple others, just to show you kind of the depth and breadth. We do offer these in certain languages. So this is a French nonprofit. Again, you'll get that agenda that's starting with an icebreaker by our visit.org host. You get to meet the nonprofit and then learn about the activity. So in this case, we would probably call this more of a mini skills-based volunteering, where you don't really need to prep anything ahead of time, but you'll show up for your 1.5 hours of working directly with youth. A few others, just to give you, again, a variety. We can do these anywhere in the United States. So we'll call that out in the platform itself. And you'll see your choices here for activities. Again, you always get the run of show or the agenda. And then something kind of unique and new that we started, because we work with a lot of the Big Four firms, they've asked us to map our experiences to human skills. So this one, your employees are learning communication, creativity, and relationship building. You also see a couple other details like, hey, this could be hosted in your office, which is kind of cool. And then lastly, I just wanted to show you kind of the quick and easy booking flow. So because I mentioned we already know the availability of the nonprofit, this example, the nonprofit's only available on Wednesdays and Thursdays. They also only happen to be available at 6 p.m. So you can't book this at 4 p.m. or any different time. And it's likely because you're working directly with, women leaders in tech. So you book for the number of participants that you think you could gather. Let's say if you have employees in Philadelphia, you would also know that this will be hosted at the nonprofits. So we always make sure you're aware of where it's going to be located. When you go ahead and book, you'll get the location of the nonprofit. You can submit your booking request. And then because we work and connect with a lot of other systems like a Benevity, a YourCause, GoodStack, and coming soon, we can definitely connect directly into those systems. Or you can just go ahead and use the visit.org platform as your registration. We build in our corporate clients' waivers. And from there, they would be able to see, who's registered for this event on September 3rd by going into their dashboard and seeing, Kristen Estrada has registered. By the way, you'll always get to know the name of the nonprofit, which this one I think is AI for Girls. So you always know that at the start of your booking. And then one thing we didn't mention yet is all of these experiences are an ROI positive experience for the nonprofit. So each of our signature events has a donation that goes directly to the nonprofit, and we let the nonprofit decide the amount of donation for their time. So that's a wrap for me, unless there's any other questions. Thank you, Jeremy.
One quick question. You mentioned that visit.org is a B corporation. What has being a B Corp done for the brand?
So for us, it's part of how we started. I mean, we wanted to always have impact embedded at the center of our organization. We actually just did our recertification. We got a score of 91% in that. So it's important for us being in the impact space to not only operate as a corporation, but to have impact built into our articles of incorporation, everything that we do. So if you think about sustainability in terms of our kits and where our warehouses are located, we sort of check the box in terms of helping environmental impact with a lot of the corporations that we work with. As Kristen talked about, it's ROI positive for our nonprofit partners. So really, being a B Corp, it drives who we are. It drives how we think about this work. It drives how we think about our model, and it also drives, I think, in large part, who partners with us. Because a lot of the companies who come to work with us, they want to work with a company who has an impact embedded at the center and who wants to continue to deliver on something that can be very transactional to a certain extent, but deliver it in a way that is not only scalable but continues to be impactful. So it aligns, not only to employee volunteering, but to all the other corporate social responsibility efforts and initiatives that they have going on.
All right. Janelle, Kristen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and bring all the presenters back on stage. And that officially wraps Demo Day Venture. We will have another demo day later on this year, but first and foremost, I want to thank all the presenters. It's not easy to distill everything that you do into essentially 8 minutes. So thank you so much. And for everyone who attended, thank you all so much for your attention and your patience. If you do want to connect with any of the presenters, I put my email in the chat. Please reach out to me and I'll put you in touch with whichever presenter that you want to connect with. So with that, thank you all so much, and we'll see you on the next demo day. Take care.